Hello everybody and welcome to a relaxed and fun conversation with people just like you and me. I am Daan Koopman, host of this wonderful hour of wonderfulness. And joining me today is Brjann of Image and Form.
Hi there, Dan. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and hi everybody who's listening.
We have done a podcast back in, I think, December or January, and it got never published. And I still feel bitter about that. Because here's what happened. We recorded it, and I was midway through editing it, and then my computer wired everything off my system.
That's right. You were really low about that at that time. I remember it.
And
It was...
yeah. And the fun part is, it happened again 3 weeks ago, so...
Okay, but that wasn't my fault.
No, luckily not.
I may be the one who broke your computer at one point, but not... I don't do it consistently anyway.
So special shout out to the makers of HP laptops. HP, I will never use you again in the future. And I had to use a Samsung SSD to fix it.
Oh, okay. So you're plugging Samsung here. That seems like Samsung could use your love right now with with the phones burning up and everything.
Right. That's completely accurate. I didn't even thought about that while saying it. That's even more terrible now I think about it. Anyway,
poor guys.
Yeah, but it's still though, I plugged this thing in and it just worked instantly. And I haven't had a problem since. And the fan is even more slowing down than it used to, because it used to really heat up because of the pressure that SSD had originally. So I haven't had any problems. So I would generally give a shout out to Samsung for making good SSDs.
Maybe they can go into that business solely. They can give up their mobile phones now and just go into that.
Maybe not. Maybe that was a good idea.
Maybe not.
Maybe. Anyway, so you might have noticed from the first couple of minutes, this is not really an interview. Not really, anyway. We could do that again, but it's like, that's not really all that fun. So what we thought... So what we thought is... you don't really have any products to show except for SteamWorld Heist on Wii U, which you should buy. That's
exactly not me, but you listeners should buy it, right?
It's a good purchase. I mean, it's common sense. I mean, I played it already. I mean, I got that SteamWorld collection in before you sent that code, because they were sending it out really early, my retailer. So I got it in on Tuesday evening, and I played it then, and that was good stuff for a couple of hours. Because I was still in the process of reviewing other games, so for me it came like out on a really weird time, and I really enjoyed that. But I already finished it on 3DS, so for me it was like, I will play this again later. I will come back to this. Right. Don't worry. But it's like, it's
it's like you say, it's the SteamWorld collection that it came out at all, or. The reason why we started making physical games was that just Nintendo called us up and said, "Do you want to put Dig and Heist on a physical disc?" Mm-hmm. And I mean, for indie developer, it's like Christmas to see your games like in physical shape. And then you go out in the stores and you see it on the shelves. It's a little bit strange.
Yeah, I definitely seen it a few times on shelves together with. Fast Racing Neo, which is only coming out in Europe. And now, yesterday, I saw the PlayStation 4 version in stores, which made it even more surreal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
They were
it's...
they were heavily stocking them, so that was the good stuff.
Oh, cool. I'm glad they're selling it in Holland as well. I mean, here in Sweden, they're like the one shop where we can buy... the only games shops that we have really is GameStop in Sweden.
Okay.
Like, and obviously other retailers will store it as well, but like game-specific shops, the market in Sweden is kind of too small. There's like 10 million people on a very big area. So, we noticed that Sweden and Scandinavia in general is kind of it's a hard market. It's not very many people, and they're very, very spread out.
There are not too many gamers in Sweden, or is it like there's not really an interest in video games in general?
No, it's actually it's kind of not like that, but there are a lot of gamers, but there are very few people. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people actually play games, but yeah, just too few people, I guess.
Right. It's a similar situation here. I mean, our country is not all that small. It's 17 million people. And the biggest figure I've ever seen regarding video games was with Pokemon Go this summer, where they said that 50% of the entire population was playing it.
That's fun. I think you have something similar in Sweden. It was such a hit, and it's interesting. Like Nintendo is the company responsible for kids neglecting just basic movement, right? they weren't going outside anymore because they were playing on their Nintendo sets, and Nintendo now becomes the company that sort of brings the kids outside again. I think it's fascinating.
I mean, Nintendo tried it at 3 different occasions though. Before this, well, this was more Niantic and the Pokemon Company, but Nintendo themselves,
true.
They tried it at 3 different occasions. They first had a game called Walk With Me in Europe, or Personal Trainer Rocking, and there was this really rectangular thing that you put in your pocket, and that was a pedometer, and that would link up to an IR function in a DS game.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And you would make routes out of that, and it would count all of the steps that you would do that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second experiment, kind of bringing back Pokemon again, the remake of the second generation of Pokemon games, Pokemon Gold and Silver. Now then, the remake was called Heart Gold and Soul Silver. They did a similar thing where they had a round walker that you would put on your belt, and you would walk, and you would encounter Pokemon and get items that way.
Oh, okay.
Which,
but that was on which system was that on then?
that was also on DS.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and then they did on Wii U. They tried the Wii Fit Meter, which was basically a repurchased Pokewalker.
Okay.
Basically the same shape, but only just a different color scheme and everything.
All right.
Just the same buttons and everything.
Well, I guess just going mobile with Pokemon is, we can see the success, right? It's it's ridiculous. I mean, it's been such a huge hit for them. So
yeah,
probably like the Switch not locking themselves into their own systems has been very, very beneficial to them.
Right. I just thought of something that I did very recently regarding video games and like the older errors, because I was thinking about the Nintendo DS, and then I realized you can't buy new games on the DSiWare shop anymore. Except you can purchase points anymore for the DSi shop.
So you can't really stock up your DSi anymore. Is that the case?
Yeah. So at the end of September, they closed the possibility to purchase more DSi points. And interesting thing is, I had a DSi XL that I previously didn't open, and I filled that up with all the DSi games that I still wanted to play on a actual DSi. And Steam World Tower Defense was one of them.
Well, it's an interesting story, It's like Steam World Tower Defense. We made it for the DSi just in 2010 because we wanted to see what other platforms we could make games for outside of mobile. Like before Steam World Tower Defense, we had made a few games or a few iOS games, and then we felt it was getting very crowded, and free to play was sort of on the horizon, and we felt that maybe this future is not for us, and so we just wanted to experiment, and there was no tower defense game on the DSi at that time, so it took us. I think it took us 3 or 4 months to make that game.
Wow!
And by the time we were done with it, there were like 3 other tower defense games already on the system. So, but to our surprise, SteamWorld Tower Defense actually paid for itself very, very quickly, and that made us feel that we would always have some backup plan if mobile development wasn't going to work out for us to only make mobile games.
Right.
And so, ironically, it turned out that way that I felt that every developer and every publisher, they were only talking about mobile the whole time. It was just mobile, mobile, mobile. And we were the only ones, at least around the people that I knew and know today, that were starting to think about going somewhere else with our games.
Right.
It was, it's kind of hard to remember now, but it was a very different climate. Like people were seriously believing that mobile was going to kill all other consoles. So yeah, it was.
The DSi was also a weird period in the sense that it was between the original DS generation and between the 3DS, and it pioneered a lot of stuff that the 3DS continued to do. But when I look back at it, I feel that its menu is more simpler and more effective in design than the 3DS. Because what I like about it is that some of the icons actually move, and they don't do that with, for example, the 3DS. It's a very active home screen. And I love that by design.
Well, okay. So the DSiWare store wasn't as lovely. Let's put it that way. At least if you're a publisher, because it was very hard. Very hard to make people notice your games there. Yeah.
I realized when I re-downloaded games that took a while, and there was only limited space on the internal storage, so I had to put some of those games on an SD card. But at the end of the day, I feel that it was really worth it because there were still some realistically some really fantastic DSiWare games out there, and some of them even used that animated icon like really well, because some of them actually showed your game progress on that icon.
Oh, how interesting. So the game icon would, like, as you go through the game, it changed. That's very... I've never heard of that anywhere else. Usually it's just static.
Like a basic example would be brain training Sudoku. And the more puzzles you complete, the more of the percentage bar on your home menu icon would fill up.
Okay, that is quite sweet. It's
yeah.
I've never even thought about doing anything like that. But with most systems you can't do it, right?
Yeah.
It's like
it was really something from the DSi and Wii era, because Wii channels used to do that as well, where you would see certain stuff pop up on the preview screen of that Wii channel menu, which they really removed with Wii U and 3DS, which I still think is a big shame, because I love active menus and see how it'll pop up out to you. Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating, and it's also interesting that you can't really do it on current systems. No. I don't think you could do it anywhere, right? It's cool.
Yeah, but it was also really other design back then, because honestly, it is if you look at Wii U and 3DS now, it's basically just items on a menu. They really moved away from that, because when you look at the gamepad screen, it's just basically the icons of the games, which also are represented on that home menu screen, the Warrior Plaza. And if you look at 3DS, it's basically they moved that animated spot to the top screen before you enter a game.
Right. So the times are changing, I guess.
I really hope that Switch does something similar, because it would be really nice to look at something again, but it's, it happens.
We'll see what that is.
Yeah, but we're not to talk about video games here forever. Because there's still because the thing is, we asked for questions on social media, and there are some questions that people asked. They're not an extreme amount, but there's a good amount of them.
Well, that's great. Let's just bring some of those up, and we can discuss the hell out of them then.
Yeah. First, we start with a silly one. I thought this was a silly one. This was from 13 AM Games, and he asked, or I guess he's one of the he's in that company, why are you both so handsome?
Well, that's a very simple question, I think. I mean, but it requires an answer. It's dedication to your good looks, obviously, right? I mean, you have to work out and just be your best the whole time. It's like I think probably 13 AM Games, they're looking for advice, right? So it's yeah, guys, you should just eat better and and shower once in a while. That's not going to hurt you. I must be Dave Proctor of 13 AM Games asking that question. Yeah, so Dave, shave off that beard and take a shower. So you'll be handsome too.
Well, Dave will have that beard for. Well, he's gonna shave off the beard, but he's gonna keep the mustache for Movember, which I would suggest everybody to go to Dave's page and spend money to his way, because he is doing it to help other people.
Oh, that's neat. He's a good guy.
Yeah. As for myself, I'm not handsome at all. Shut up. I'm not handsome. I'm a chubby Dutch guy.
Yeah, it's all in the eye of the beholder, I guess, right? So if Dave thinks that way, are you going to argue with him? I mean,
yeah,
he's entitled to his opinion.
I will argue with that. I mean, if you would say you're a cute fat person, I would say you're absolutely right.
Move on to the next question here now. Yeah,
Okay, this is from Nathan van Ginkel. Talk about the nicest or special place from, we say, 10 to 20 kilometers from your house or something around you.
Here in Gothenburg? Okay. So I'm Image and Form. We're located in Gothenburg in Sweden. And Gothenburg is the second biggest city. And what we have a few things that are actually quite awesome. The coastline here, the west coast of Sweden is, I think it's on UNESCO's list of fabulous places or some whatever that list is called. And it's remarkable. It's extremely beautiful. It's rocky and very cool looking. And then Gothenburg also has Northern Europe's biggest amusement park. It's an amusement park that really actually lives up to its standards. It's a very good park.
Okay. Huh.
Other than that, let's see. It rains a lot, so that's not very. If you like rain, I actually had a few friends coming up from Kuwait. I went to Kuwait in 2014 and 2015 to lecture at a games expo there.
I actually met those people, I think, because they gave me a card at a Gamescom sometime.
Oh,
and then
cool!
They asked me if I would come, but I never saw that email, so I saw it like 4 months later. I still feel sorry. I still feel sorry about that, but it's like I was too busy back then.
But those guys, they came to visit Gothenburg, and it was.
Oh wow!
I was feeling. The weather was particularly bad. It was raining. It was sort of raining for. If they were here for a week, then it rained for 5 days or something like that. Mm-hmm. And after a few days, I was apologizing about the weather, and they said, "You know what? This is wonderful. It's like you don't know what you have with all this rain. It's like we love it when it rains and when it's not 50 degrees Celsius out." So they were really happy about the rain, which I mean, we who live here, we're very happy when the sun shines. On the contrary, I mean,
similar here, because I also live around the sea climate, so it's a lot of rain here, a lot of stormy weather when that time of the year comes. So it's a similar situation, definitely here.
Yeah, but you'll notice. Maybe I don't know how it is in the Netherlands, Dan, but in Sweden, you'll notice that people talk about the weather a lot.
They do here.
Like every person you you run into is like knows what the weather forecast is like. I mean,
Right.
if it's supposed to be like sunny during the weekend, everybody knows it. And everybody's planning for it because it's almost like it's a big happening, right? It's we get we get a lot of rain here.
We do too, especially on this side of the country. Surprisingly enough, there is nothing goes by without a couple of days with rain or something like that.
All right.
Which does become a boring sight sometimes, but I do live in a nicer part of the country, I would say. Like more in the woods, closer to the German border, not
Right.
close to a city like Amsterdam or Utrecht. So it's a very different scenario than I would be at the west side of the country, where all the beaches are and where all the people are. So I like where I live, in fact, but it's not always the best way to travel around, because I still really live in a closed-off area, well, part of the country. But it's nicely split between cities, though, so I could go to cities at the left and cities at the right. So there are plenty of places where to go. I would say that one of my favorite places, like locally, within 15 kilometers, is a city called Deventer. And that has a lot of history with a lot of old buildings, and there's a riverside there, and it's a nice place to just walk around. Good shops too. So that's one of the nicer places I usually go when I need somewhere quick, some relief very quickly, because it's like 15 minutes by train, so it's not all that far off. But
that's
like
nice.
yeah, but more locally here, I would say, what is a nice place? I would just say up to the hills here. Just going up to the hills and going through the forest here is really nice. And it's literally a street away to go up there. So if you want to have like a Sunday walk, it's perfect for that.
That's
Outside of
interesting.
that,
I thought the Netherlands didn't have hills. I thought it was just all flat and below sea level. It's like
this location is most up sea level than anywhere in this area.
okay, cool.
Because when you also go more to the west, you're also more below sea level. So that's also the good part of living close to the German border. Or closer you are there, or better is for your safety.
Yeah, because you can escape once the Atlantic comes and knocks on your door. Exactly. Well,
Right.
Sweden is a pretty big country. I mean, I think it's something like 450 square kilometers, and it's 450,000 square kilometers, I should say, and it's very long, right? So, like in the south, you can have 20 degrees in a day, and like it could be 10 minus in the north, right? So it's so you kind of wonder about the people who live up north in Sweden, because in summer they have mosquitoes big as helicopters all over the place, and then in winter it's just extremely cold. So
Here it has been, in contrast here it's really different, because in recent years it feels like there's barely a winter at all. We had a weekend in December where it was 15 degrees Celsius.
Okay, nice.
And it was the weekend before Christmas.
Right, okay. So here in Sweden, we would, like, obviously we understand that global warming is a problem, but in the short term, it actually feels quite nice because we're quite used to really, since Gothenburg is just on the coast, it can get very raw. Like in fall and winter, it can get nasty cold. I mean, like really, really very, very cold. So when we get mild winters, we're not complaining yet. Let's put it that way.
Next question is from Michael Forslind.
I know that guy.
Here's a question. Yep, I do too. Here's a question. Have you seen the musical Book of Mormon?
What? Okay, Michael. No, have you seen it, Dan?
No, I know from who it's from. I know the pedigree of those people, but I haven't seen or watched them.
Right. I haven't. I've listened to the soundtrack, and I think it's hilarious. It's by the guys who make South Park. So,
Right.
What are they called? Trey Parker and Matt Stone. It's the lyrics are hilarious, like hilarious beyond belief, and we use one of the songs from that musical, Book of Mormon, called Has Adiga Ibowai. We use that song. We sing it in the car when I go on like car trips with my kids, and and like the youngest kids, they have no idea what they're actually singing about. But it's the lyrics are pretty direct. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I imagine so. Honestly, I'm not against watching it. It's just like I barely watch musicals to begin with.
Same here. Yeah.
I mean, the Netherlands is quite a musical country. We have like 4 or 5 really big production houses that work on musicals, even also on international ones.
Okay.
But it's not, again, it's not something I'm against, but it's not something I actively think about going to.
I think it's like that's really a taste thing, right? I mean, what kind of you can't just say that you like music, right? If you like, you gotta like musicals and how they build the stories and so on in musicals too.
Yeah. Well, enjoy. for me, music is all times and glory, but musicals, it's like, okay, sure.
Well, it's like I haven't seen Book of Mormon, but one musical that I'm really very fascinated by, and that I actually listen to on a regular basis, is Jesus Christ Superstar. I'm not a religious person at all, but I think it's a very, very interesting take on a few days in biblical history, right, where Jesus is about to get caught and to be killed. And the most fascinating thing is that Andrew Lloyd Webber, he was 17 years old when he wrote that musical. That is
right.
That's impossible, because it is so the music is so detailed, it is so varied, and so well produced. And even perhaps even more interesting is that Tim Rice, the guy who wrote the lyrics, all the lyrics, he was 19 at the time, and it's fantastic. I mean, it is so detailed. It is so good. I mean, if maybe not the Book of Mormon is like your first go-to place if you're going to start listening to musicals, but if you want to get into musicals, obviously Andrew Lloyd Webber is a good place to start, and I would really check out Jesus Christ Superstar. It has just fantastic songs and fantastic lyrics and great artists singing as well.
I realized that the 2 musicals that I mostly remember are both Disney musicals.
Well, obviously,
and those are the Lion King and Tarzan.
Tarzan,
because
really?
They used to be like huge productions in like the biggest theater in this country, which is in The Hague, or more specifically Scheveningen, which is on the east coast of The Hague.
Yeah.
And they have this gigantic theater where they build gigantic sets for their musicals. So they built the entire rock and everything for The Lion King, and then for Tarzan they built like this jungle environment with lianes and everything for the actors to go through, which is really good stuff. But those are the 2 I actively remember, because one of them, for a background, it's not something I actively pursue anymore, but my education was tourism. So we had at the first year, we have a so-called Holland tour, where we go in like a week to big Dutch destinations. So we went to the flower market in the west side of the country, we went a day to Amsterdam, and then we had a musical backstage thing at Scheveningen with a musical at the end of the day too.
That's interesting, because obviously the Lion King and Frozen that came out now. It's like the soundtrack, the songs are incredibly strong, right? It's world class
Right, yeah.
soundtracks. But Tarzan, really? I can't remember one. I don't think I've heard one song from that production that at least that I can remember.
I could honestly not remember too if you would ask me. It's been too long. I mean, I had the dedication. Well, my first year was now almost, I would say, 7 years ago. So it has been a long time since I could recall anything of that.
Mm-hmm. All right,
but it was fun.
No, I bet it was like working in, or not working in tourism, but like getting ready to work in tourism sounds like a lot of fun. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you got a good language package. We got Dutch, just to do Dutch a little bit better, and then English, German, and an optional language between Spanish or French. And then front desk, promotion, PR. So I got a little PR as well, which is really nice for my personal stuff now. But it's a good varied amount of stuff. So I still have uses out of aspects out of them, especially the English part, especially the PR part. But it's as a whole, I don't use any of those skills anymore.
Well, it sounds to me like the learning how to speak Dutch better must be the hardest part of that education, because Dutch is an impossible language.
Well, here's the thing. Well, most of the people can speak Dutch well, but they want you to speak Dutch perfectly or more in an approved way, because you have also a lot of accents in this country. Like there's an Amsterdam accent. There's a my area I'm from, Twente. There's a Twents accent. So they want you to speak normal Dutch, not Twents Dutch, not Amsterdam Dutch, not the Dutch from a specific area. They want you to speak normal Dutch.
Right. Some sort of nationally sanctioned Dutch.
Yeah.
All right. What's the next question?
The next question is from Jan. I don't know how you say it. Jan, Nintendo fan. He said, "How is it like working with Nintendo?" I probably we can say from both sides how it is, but I will start with you.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
well, it's like working with Nintendo is, when we started working with them, it was a big difference for us, and we had to change ourselves a little bit because, like I mentioned before, we had been making mobile games before that, and when you make an iOS game, you have either very, very, very little or no interaction at all with Apple. You submit your game, you get like feedback if there are bugs in the game that means that they're not going to let it pass, but you don't get like a personal contact at Apple, or I should say we didn't have that at the time. It's sort of changed since then. But with Nintendo, suddenly there were like, we would get emails where there were like 12 people on CC, right? Like a lot of people are involved in when we publish our games, and like from the very get-go, like very many people are involved, and it ties in with Apple they have automated so many of their systems, so you can literally upload your game yourself, and if you don't have any problems with your title, you're just going to get like a message on the web saying that your game has now been approved. With Nintendo, since they haven't automated their systems that way, it means that a lot of people are involved instead. So there's a lot of manual work being done. But if I have to choose, I would say that, like with all the platforms, because we publish to so many platforms now, like if you take all platforms into account, then then Apple and iOS, the App Store is at one end of the spectrum where you have no interaction with the platform owner, and Nintendo is at the far end, for the other end of that, where you have interaction like all the time with Nintendo employees, and it means that there is a lot of communication going back and forth, and there's very very many forms to fill out, and your game has to be error free when you release it on Nintendo, because they have this the lot check process, which is rigorous. They go through your game in detail, and if there's anything wrong with it, you will fail, and that can sort of mess up your time schedule or your publishing schedule. So, like, it feels like on one end, then you have the App Store and Apple, who automate everything. It also means that a lot of games get sort of slip onto the App Store, games that aren't very good, like very very basic things. But then on the other end, like, my perception of Nintendo has always been that they don't let anything just anything slip through. They're going to look very carefully at everything that they release.
There's probably people at Nintendo looking at every single release, that's for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So, but, like, to put it that way, I'm a people's person, so I really very much prefer the Nintendo approach than to the Apple approach. Apple is never unfriendly to us in any way, but the communication is quite limited. Whereas these days, it feels like I know a lot of people at Nintendo, and I like a lot of people at Nintendo. So yeah, working with them is fun. It's like you're working with friends. That sounds almost like, may sound like an exaggeration, but yeah, they're very likable, and I like them. So working with them is fun. How about you?
Yeah, for me it's a twofold. The people who don't naturally have to involve with the stuff that I do, so they don't interact with the review stuff that I do or anything like that, those people usually are very kind to talk to and usually know what I'm talking about. Now, I want to say for the record, before I want to say anything ungrateful, Nintendo is not per se, they don't have to give me anything. They are not required to. But it's a weird situation for me, because at one hand, I usually get enough time to review or preview the games that I get in, and that is a really good feeling. At the other hand, I don't feel that how Nintendo, especially in Europe, is structured right now, I don't have currently a lot of element to growth anymore, because they hold events, but they only allow a certain amount of people in, especially per country. So I usually don't get accepted for anything like that. It's usually they stick with the games sending, and that's the extent. Sometimes they have a local event here, and that's the extent of my interaction with them as a whole. I'm friendly with them, usually are, and they are friendly with me too, but it's a situation that sadly I have the feeling won't ever change, because Nintendo is just structured in a way that it seems impossible to do so.
Well, I'm not sure how it works with other platform owners. I mean, if to compare, I would be very surprised if again, I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, of course.
Like Apple wouldn't put together an event like that to start with, I think. So it's it's a little bit, it's probably different, but yeah, like, that's your end of it. I mean, I'm like the villain or the bad guy who's makes sure that you get, like, the games that you're supposed to review, that you only get them like a day before or 2 days before for the release. Like, it sort of ties in with the lot check process. It is cumbersome, and it's very very rigorous, and it's unforgiving too. I mean, if Nintendo finds something, they will fail our game, and then we'll resubmit. and then they will look at it again. If they find something new, they will fail it again, and we have to resubmit. It's very good in one sense, because it means that they're taking the products that are being sold through their channels very seriously, and that's great for the customers. And it is basically, it's telling developers and publishers that get your shit together, like do it right, otherwise we won't publish it. That's perfect. But at the same time, like in some cases, we feel that maybe one or two things could have been allowed to slide, so that we don't sort of press it up until the last moment. But it also becomes, it's not an accurate science to logic. It comes down to preference and personal opinion. If the reviewer thinks that the game still has issues that need to be fixed, then it's going to be failed.
Yep. But for me, with Nintendo, it's not like I wouldn't do this for 10 years if I didn't like Nintendo to begin with. But for me, for me lately, it feels like a one-way conversation. Like, I do what I'm being told or being asked within the boundaries that they preferred. And I don't feel that sometimes I don't get a lot of love back. And at the end of the day, that's not really important to me. I feel it's more important that I get information to people out there, people who read the stuff that I do, because it's important for them to make the decision if they want to buy it or not. But I would say at moments it would be nicer to have that two-way conversation. But it's a really hands-off approach currently.
But isn't it a resource thing too? I mean, obviously you're NintenDaan, and I think you're exceptional. but there are quite a few games journalists out there. It must be a hard time, or it must be difficult for a platform owner to on a daily basis reach out to everyone, right? Right,
but here's how I see it. I am dedicated to solely covering this company for 10 years. And I feel that even in its worst moments, I have been around for them. So it feels weird to me that that two-way conversation is not always there.
Okay, so hopefully someone at Nintendo is listening to this conversation then, because that's feedback that I would have appreciated if I were on the other end.
Yeah, but it's not like I directly don't like them. Naturally not. I mean, I would stop instantly if I didn't like it anymore, which is definitely not the case.
No, it's like, of all the diehard people around Nintendo, it's like 10 years is a very long time.
Yeah. And next March it will be 11, and then it will be around Switch time. So that's one way to celebrate it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. It's like, yeah, you're not going to quit. It's too much fun.
No. Yeah, of course. And it starts, the whole cycle starts anew, and I kind of want to see how that cycle goes. And it feels too early to stop then. So I will likely go to E3 one more year, and then I will likely not go to E3 ever again.
Okay, I'll see how that goes, okay? I'll see you at E3 in a few years' time again.
No, next year will be the final time I'm going to E3.
Okay, we'll see about that.
I mean, I can be honest about that. It is too expensive for me.
Yeah.
Like, I can't really afford it. So, for me, it's already a done deal. Because if I can't afford it, why should I go?
Sure, but things can change too, right? I mean, like in the blink of an eye, suddenly, like that, I don't know, that lottery ticket hits, right? And you'll be at every convention around the world.
I don't have that amount of money.
No, that's what I mean. Not right now.
Here's the thing. The reason I will stop going to E3 is that because I want to go to a PAX. I want to go to something else because I've never experienced that stuff before, ever. and it feels weird to me that I haven't.
PAX is very cool. If just to talk about that a little bit, we've been both at PAX East and PAX West. So we were last year and this year at PAX East, and that's like it's a very big open space. It's like one hall, and it's quite easy to understand where stuff is at. But this year I went to PAX West in Seattle, and that was a really cool event, because the expo hall is like made up of a number of less than gigantic halls, like not rooms, but like halls that are sort of mid-size. And it was nice, you know. It's like it was cozy to walk around and look at games, because it felt like there wasn't like one booth that just exploded in size. It's like everybody felt a little bit smaller, mid-size when you went to PAX West. It was a familiar feeling, or I think you understand what I mean. Like
for sure.
Yeah, the venue is. If I can recommend you to go to either one of those, I would definitely aim for PAX West in Seattle rather than PAX East in Boston.
I don't think it will happen this year, maybe next year, because it's always close to Gamescom, so I need to make room or money free for that. But it's something I definitely still want to do, together with Tokyo Game Show or going to Japan in general, because that's something that I'm saying for 5 years and still haven't done. So
you'll go one day. I mean, it won't be Japan until NintenDaan goes, right? It's like, so I think it's of all the expos I've been to, let's see if I can remember this right then, but I like GDC in San Francisco, Game Developers Conference.
That's one I want to go to too. I never been to GDC.
You should, if you can. I've been there now every year for quite many years, and I happen to like San Francisco, but I think that everybody that goes there likes San Francisco. So it's also the city.
I know that people who live there. I know that people who live there don't like San Francisco.
Well, it's becoming extremely expensive nowadays, right? And it has its issues, but the city is marvelous. It's I think it's worth going to GDC just to go to San Francisco, actually.
I would definitely do that, yeah.
So should we jump on to the next one?
Sure. Let's see. Well, that's a kind of a cute question. This is from Dennis F. Ask them how to keep making such good games while being so irritatingly silly and charming all the time.
Thanks, Dennis. That's the nicest thing you can say, actually, I think. Well, it's I realized just like a few weeks ago when we had an office karaoke evening where we we were doing SingStar and also on the Wii U. What is the title called again, Dan? I'm sure you know what it is.
What?
Like, it's a karaoke title for the Wii U.
Wii Karaoke U?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and we had such a fabulous time, and everyone was singing, and nobody sings well, right? But
I love that.
Yeah, but nobody is like making fun of the moment. Do you understand what I mean? Like everybody is enjoying everyone else, and so maybe that like puts us apart a little bit. That we're people who genuinely like each other. It's like there's 18 of us now, and we realize that if we start making bad games or start skimping on quality or whatever, if we just think that, okay, let's just make simple games, we will. That's the point where people will stop being interested in image and form. So we realize that to stay where we are, we need to continue to make very good games. And the charming thing is like we're a bunch of nerds who like to hang out with each other. That's it. We have a lot of fun together, and there's there's like no prestige in the office. Like we realize that we are not rock stars. We realize that we are a bunch of nerds who like to laugh a lot during daytime, and so it kind of becomes charming, I think.
Right. Let's see. Jamal asked, "What have you been playing, both of you?" Okay.
Lately?
Yeah,
lately.
lately.
I mean, you've played everything, Dan.
Do I play everything?
No, you play everything.
I play occasionally something. Most like for me, it's like 50% for work, 50% because I want to.
Yeah, right. Okay,
And
so what have you been playing?
If we're talking about what I wanted to play, then I've been playing a lot of PlayStation VR. And I played it at a couple of events, notably E3 this year and Gamescom, and I was very impressed with how that thing felt on my head. It was very comfortable. So I picked it up instantly. I already had the camera, PlayStation camera, and the Move controllers from the last generation, so I was good to go there. So I picked up a few games, and I just got into it instantly. And the thing is, not every game requires PlayStation VR, and not every game requires the Move controllers, but the games that allow you to do PlayStation VR give those experiences something else. Because one of the games that I've been playing a lot is Thumper, which is they call it a violence rhythm game, where you are on a road and have to hit certain beats or certain elements within the road that comes towards you. And the feeling when you look at it VR feels fantastic because you feel everything coming towards you, which is a crazy feeling in itself, and it feels overwhelming at first, but it just really rocks. And while you can again play that game without VR, it really adds something to play it with VR.
Lately, I've been playing a mobile game, or like a game on my iPad called Auralux 2. Have you heard of it?
I've never heard of it, no.
No. I mean, that's the curse of being on mobile. Like, enough people buy your game, perhaps, but like on the grand scale of things, nobody has ever heard of your games, right? So
yeah. My problem with the iOS store, I usually pick what's on the front page.
Yeah, I think most people do, It's otherwise, like someone like me or a friend of yours has to tell you to play a game, right?
Sure,
so,
yeah.
So this game, Auralux 2, is a game that is made for me. It's a strategy game where you conquer planets. I think it's I love strategy games. I've come to realize that it's much more than any other genre. It's strategy. I think we've talked about this before, but I play chess whenever I do nothing else. If I go to the bathroom, I play chess. Yeah. And if I'm cooking, I play chess, right? So it's strategy games is the shit for me. And this Auralux 2 is the name of the game. I think it's really cool.
Okay. Need to write that down for the future, for sure.
Yeah.
Outside of PlayStation VR, I've just been catching up on other games on other systems that I've not been playing, because since the start of July until I would say a week ago, I would constantly have a new game to cover.
Yeah.
So this has been the first week and a half of downtime, which is weird. So I've been playing a lot of Xbox and PlayStation now that I don't have anything largely to cover for Nintendo.
It's other than strategy games, it's FIFA on PlayStation. I mean, it's the benefit of having kids, right? You can actually play quite a few games, and also there is a benefit of having like older people around you too. So my mom, she's retired, and she's one of, I mean, for the longest time, she would ask me, like, sort of in a worried way. It's like, so Brjánn, what are you gonna do? I mean, when are you gonna get a real job? When are you gonna stop this gaming nonsense, right? And now I've been running Image and Form for almost 20 years, right? So it's she's stopped saying that, but the point is that she never thought that gaming is serious, and also she would never consider herself a gamer. But like almost every day, I'm getting like text messages from her with if I can help her out to find like she's playing some a word puzzle game now on her iPhone called one 4 picks 1 word. There's like 4 different pictures, and you have to sort of come up. You have to find out what the word is that they're looking for. A word that sort of describes something that is going on in all 4 of those pictures. So it's kind of cool. Like, she is the most determined non-gamer that I know, but she's on a daily basis we are discussing games, me and her. So it's fun that way. Gaming. What I meant is that, like, gaming is it engages everyone. I think, like, we want to play games.
Yeah. Because my dad started playing games before I ever did, and then it sort of turned over to me. But talking about PlayStation VR, he played a demo for a game called Headmaster, where you just bounce a ball back to objects in the environment, and he got really into the demo, and he forced me to buy the entirety of that game. Which is a game that's mostly in English, so he can't understand the words, but he's just enjoying the missions. Well, the game itself is super funny and witty, and just a really fun take on like football in general. Like, it's like this weird hat performance center where you try to be better every single mission. It feels super weird. It's very quirky, but that's the stuff that he doesn't understand. But it's super fun. It's super funny and witty, and I think that's one of the, also, like, a simple game to get people to understand what PlayStation VR, what VR in general is.
I think that's sort of nailing it, because if you're only making complicated stuff in VR, or like all the titles that are being published are, if they don't become casual, this is going to be sort of like a fringe activity. Like, the early adopters, real hardcore gamers are going to buy VR kits or VR sets.
Right.
The real trick to anything is to make it mass market. If you can find it, and I'm not sure about the pricing though, or like it seems to me that if you're going to have like a VR setup at home that actually performs without you getting headaches and stuff, you will have to invest quite a bit of money. I think VR, it will really catch on when production costs and so on have gone down so much that you can actually buy it as a party kit at home or something like that, like for casual use.
I mean, PlayStation VR does it in a sense, because some games you still use, for second players, the television screen. They call it the social screen in that sense.
Yeah.
So certain games definitely still make use of that, and I definitely have done it with a few friends of mine, and it's a weird experience. But at the same time, I feel that it works well enough where we just want to keep playing VR games. My problem with Sony right now is they always have a strong start with the stuff. They had a strong start with Move, and I still have to see how all of this shapes up in a year from now, which is the bigger question.
But I think the big difference there is that Move, for example, then, I mean, it feels like they came up with a Move controller to sort of counter the Wiimote, right? Or like how people were playing.
They said even in their initial GDC presentation that they were inspired by Wii to do it. So
I mean, with VR, it feels like they're betting the PlayStation brand on VR. I mean, they're really promoting it heavily. So it's, I mean, no one else of the traditional platform owners is doing what they're doing with VR. I mean,
well, Microsoft is more focused on HoloLens, which I'm not sure yet what HoloLens is, honestly.
It's I've talked to people who tried it. I haven't tried it myself, and I should probably I should mention that to the audience as well. I have a hard time playing VR games. I have a hard time playing 3D games or first-person games, I should say, because third person is actually different for me. But I get violently nauseous from playing first-person games, which is
right.
terrible because there are so many games that I don't enjoy playing. I'll play a first-person game for 3 minutes, and then I feel sick for half a day or so. So it's
oh dear.
So it's it doesn't work for me. It's strange because it hasn't always been that way. Something has happened, but it means that I tried like the first version of the Oculus, a few different titles, and it was literally I could wear the headset for 30 seconds, and then I would have to tear it off after that and sort of look for a bucket. but with HoloLens, I mean, AR is quite different from VR, right? You have like the rest of reality to sort of anchor your perception. So I haven't tried it myself, but I wonder if I hope it's very clever, and I hope it catches on, because I think VR, as interesting as it is some of the aspects of VR where you need like a secondary social screen, so you actually don't go into your own bubble. It's a little bit limiting, I think. I mean, if
right
with HoloLens, like if they can come up with interesting applications for it, it could have like really wide-reaching impact on what we do, like on an everyday basis.
Yeah, Microsoft seems still very protective of that, though. Like the amount of countries that can even order like development kits are even that is super limited right now.
Yeah.
I think it's like 5 or 7 or so that can order it. So it's, it's something, I guess.
Yeah.
The only extent that I ever seen of HoloLens is IGN, because apparently they have one in the office, so they toyed around with that. Which seemed a large investment for something that doesn't have a lot of apps yet, but
it's like with everything. I mean, without the killer app, it's not going to catch on, right? So, so going back to VR, I think now in the beginning, it's going to be dedicated gamers are going to be interested in VR. Like the general public, it's still too strange to sort of to play games like that, and it's also forbiddingly expensive still.
Yeah. So I would say that the PlayStation VR is not outrageously expensive for the tech they're putting into it. I mean, €400 compared to whatever. I think Vive complete sending costs here is €950.
I agree, but like then I think you would benefit from using PlayStation VR together with the new machine, the 4K, and just to get like the frame rate and so on. And if you combine those two, the price tag is is a bit hefty still.
Yeah, I don't know how much PlayStation 4 Pro changes that though.
Maybe not.
And I'm super wary of PlayStation Pro, especially in the scenario that they're still trying actively to sell it to us, regardless if you have a 4K television or not. Because they said it will offer more fidelity and stuff, and that sounds great on paper, but I'm not sure how much I want to invest in a console that is only slightly better.
Yeah, but I think like that slight difference. Sorry, that slight difference in performance may be the thing that makes PlayStation VR really good. I'm not sure again because I haven't even tried the Sony VR.
I like it a lot already. If it did, which they never said really, I would consider it. But I'm happy now with what I got.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I mean the majority of the games seem to do the stuff they're supposed to do, and even if I think that some of the games are a little bit pricey, Job Simulator is €30.
Right.
And Rigs, like one of the Sony's big titles, is 60. Which some of the stuff they put into it make it seem like it's a little too expensive for me, and that's the game I definitely didn't buy. The good thing is that I have a bunch of budget games that are quickly $20 or $10 to purchase, and you can just play around with them in VR. So I bought a bunch of those, and I've been getting my money's worth, honestly.
Yeah. It's cool that it is that way. I'm not surprised. You know, like, like with everything else, it's expensive in the beginning, and then it becomes gradually cheaper.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what it is that pushes VR into mainstream. What game or what application it is that will sort of make it a hit, because for a good while now, I think we're going to see early adopters and sort of fringe people like you are going to enjoy it, not the general public.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty much open to anything, so that's also my issue.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, and not everyone is, right? Kids may ask for a VR kit, and the parents are going to look at the price tag and say, "Well, you already have a gaming console," or it's like, "I'm not going to buy another one for you." So it's going to be grown-up, dedicated gamers that buy it, I think.
Yeah, for me, so I'll be honest here. I did buy an Xbox One S. And I already had the original Xbox One. And I did it mostly for two reasons. Like, I had the launch model, which came out not even in this country, but in Germany. So I had a 500 gigabyte hard drive, and that filled up within 6 months to 9 months of the first year. And another thing is, while this thing is also 4K ready, just like PlayStation Pro is, this has also like a 4K Blu-ray player built into it. So when it comes to time that I ever buy like a 4K television, I have that stuff already ready to go, and I'm good to go for the future.
Yeah.
And next to that, the original Xbox One is ugly. It's a really ugly device. And I think the Xbox One S is actually, and I don't use that word very often, it's a sexy device.
Okay, well that's really interesting too. I mean, that's sort of sign of the times, isn't it? I mean, we're not only buying stuff for function. It's actually that thing is going to spend time in your living room. It can't look like anything, right? It has to look sleek and cool.
And that's my issue with this generation. None of the systems, Wii U, Xbox One, or PlayStation 4 looked all that great.
That's
And I think that the PlayStation 4 Pro even looks more ridiculous.
But yeah, I was just gonna say make that comparison like between the Wii U and the Nintendo Switch. I mean, it's like night and day, right? I've always felt that the Wii U, even though I like the setup with the gamepad, I really think it's clever that you can do you can do two different things in a game. I mean, where you can,
for sure.
It's clever, but it looks like a big toy. Like it's plastic and childish looking. I mean, the Nintendo Switch looks sleek and elegant, and let's just use that word again. I think it looks sexy.
Yeah, I think it also looks really un-Nintendo-like because they are pretty much a toy company, regardless of what you think. They are born a toy company, and they will likely die a toy company. So how the Wii U looked in their mind made sense. So for me to look at the Switch for 1 second, I think that doesn't exactly look like a Nintendo device. I think that is exactly also what they're going for.
I think also the definition of toys has changed, and the Wii U didn't reflect that. It was it didn't look like a toy that kids would dream about, like the Wii U with the gamepad.
Sure.
I mean, my kids now are like, I have kids who are 17, 12, and 6. Like the 6-year-old is still, she still gets what she gets, but like the older ones, the 17-year-old and the 12-year-old, they're very conscious about what product they want or products they want. I mean, now both of them, not because it's the latest, it's like they want the iPhone 7 because they think it looks awesome.
But they are also, I have nephews about that same age, and I feel around that age period they think that anything that sounds cool is also cool. And I sometimes have to correct them and say, look, there are still problems with this device. You probably want to consider this.
Right. Well, but yeah.
And the 12-year-old will be like, but I still think it's really cool. And the 17-year-old is in a step above that. And I say, okay, I guess.
Well, yeah. But it's. I'm glad that both Microsoft and Nintendo then are sort of taking that into account. Like, you have to make it look really cool, like something that you want to own and that you want to show off that you own. Like, you have your console is destined to stay close to your TV set, which is like in the most public area in your house where you want to have people sit down. If you have an ugly thing there, some families or some people are going to resent that. They will think twice. Like nowadays, like all appliances are so cheap. Like you can buy a huge TV that looks extremely slick for relatively little money, and then it would be strange if you have a very ugly device sitting next to it.
For sure, yeah.
So
I mean, that's my main issue for getting an Xbox One S, I guess.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean,
also that, and I still play a lot of games on it. I'm still busy with Forza Horizon 3, which I barely played because of all the stuff that I needed to do.
So, just out of curiosity, Dan, I have a question for you. So, like,
sure, go ahead.
How many hours a day do you spend gaming, you think? And I mean, like, both professionally and privately.
I would say 5 hours. Sometimes a little less because of writing, sometimes a little more because of reviews.
Yeah.
But I would say it's roughly 5 hours.
Well, that's good. I was kind of worried that you were playing like 15 hours a day or something like that
Yeah.
because you're
No, I'm not that. I'm not that crazy. I mean, I'm not the youngest. Also, not anymore. When I was 16, it was like I want to play games the entire day.
yeah.
But now I'm inching closer to 30. It's like there's not really a point to it. I can still do this tomorrow.
Yeah. There's always
And that's how kind of yeah. And that's also how my backlog kind of builds up. It's like I still have a lot of games to play.
I was gonna I was gonna say, like, there's always another. We can always do everything another day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious.
And I think that applies to everything that I do, because 2 years ago I was like, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do everything. And now I'm kind of like, I've become more relaxed, and I think that I can do things in steps more efficiently. So it has been, I don't know, I've been more, I don't know, just relaxed. I feel, and that's okay. I feel that's also the thing of becoming older. You're becoming more tenacious, and more considerate of what other people think of you.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you mean?
Like, I would say that if I look back at like the first videos that I did, I didn't care if I made mistakes or not. I would just record them and upload them. And now I'm very critical of what I upload. I will look at them, and if I think that they are not good, I would re-record them, regardless of length. So I'm slowly becoming the sort of guy that wants to do this as perfectly as possible and still ends up making mistakes, but minimizes the mistakes he can make. And when I was 16, 17, I didn't care how many mistakes I made.
Well, that's interesting. It's like that sort of. Maybe that doesn't make you a typical person. I mean, like a lot of us, like, we are very, very, very conscious in the beginning of doing something, and then as we get better, we don't get sloppier, but it's not as in the beginning. It's like life or death sort of feeling.
Sure.
And then you get more relaxed. So I'm thinking, like, the older you get, I mean, the further you get from your school years, where like you had like serious deadlines the whole time. I mean, you tend to think that deadlines is something that comes with age when you start working and so on. But like when you were in school, you had to study for tests and turn in papers with like a very strict date usually. Like it wasn't like you do this anytime this spring. It was like it has to be done now at this exact moment. And
right,
as we move away from that, it's more like, you know what, I'm going to take a little bit more time with this to make sure that it's as good as it can be, rather than as punctual as it can be, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah. I think I flew through most of my school years without a hitch. So that's also my issue. I never had a problem with learning stuff. So I never felt the pressure in that sense.
No, but still it had to be done, right? It's like...
Yeah, sure. But I never felt pressured, or if I made a mistake, it just happened for me. That's how I looked upon it back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's weird, yeah.
Yeah, it's different for me. I was also a pretty easy learner, but I was always sort of setting up new sort of harder goals the whole time. Like, okay, like for this test, I was at the top of my class. Okay, the next test, I'm going to be at the top of my class by these many points, etc. It's very much like I think I stressed myself quite a bit. I didn't unlike it though. It's like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed performing well. But Yeah, I really feel that it was there were so many things that needed to be done the whole time. When I was looking back at the school years, like it's more interesting now to sit and do stuff creatively, because then you have an excuse to sort of push the deadline the whole time. And the best thing was when I read that quote from Miyamoto. You're very familiar with it, but I only read it like last year or something, where he says,
Yeah.
Like a delayed game is going to be good eventually. A rushed game is bad forever. It was the best excuse ever to sort of to delay or polish games. That it's actually okay to do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't even remember what the question was now, but should we get to the next one?
We're just talking about games, and then we went to this whole from sex to talking about how considerate we're trying to be in life.
All right.
That's how our conversation's always been.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how our conversation.
Well, it's like talking to you is like going to a cafe and just having a cup of coffee. That's exactly how it is. Where you don't,
right?
Where there is no real sort of direction. Maybe we should have some direction now. What is the next question?
That Juan Gamer asks, "What's your favorite console of all time?"
Well, you should answer. You should answer that first, because you have so much more experience with all consoles than I have.
Ooh, that's really difficult, honestly. Because how do I perceive my favorite console? Do I perceive it on the gaming memories that I had? Do I perceive it on the games that I played on it? Do I perceive it on how many hours I spent with it?
I think
because there are quite a lot of amount of systems that I feel that I enjoyed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And
now you got to pick one, man. It's like, don't be like all esoteric about it. Just pick one.
That's the difficult part, though. Okay. It's between two, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's between the Dreamcast
Mm-hmm.
and the Wii.
Mm.
Because, and I say that for two reasons. The first one is because of the games I played both on those systems, and that's a good variety of them that I still remember to this day. And the Wii came out now this year 10 years ago, and I still remember what I played at launch, and that's a really strong indication of what I enjoyed about that system.
Yeah.
Same goes with the Dreamcast. I still play Sonic Adventure 1. I still play Crazy Taxi, Shenmue, the original Raz, that sort of stuff. It's still I still remember a lot of the stuff that collected within my mind. And the second reason is that I have a lot of experiences with other people than myself playing on those systems, because there were a bunch of good multiplayer games on both of them. And I am a guy who also likes to play a lot of social games, and in Dreamcast it was more traditional gamer games, like GameCube had Smash Brothers, but Dreamcast had Power Stone, for example, and Power Stone was a strange Capcom game that got an anime series and everything directly after, because it was that popular. And it was a really weird sort of battle game, and I really enjoyed that. Similar on Wii, there are plenty of examples that I can name that I enjoyed with a bunch of group of people and just on my own. But again, I had it with a lot of systems, but I think with Dreamcast and Wii in particular, it just clicked for the most of its lifespan, and I still am collecting Wii games to this day, and I'm still trying to find like weird, obscure Dreamcast games that I never played up to this day, and so most of them still hold up, but it's increasingly rare to find a game that still 100% holds up. And you have that more of modern system, like GameCube was a more traditional system, and I had more fun with that looking back at it. but it's not where my strongest memories come from, and I can perceive it in a whole bunch of ways and have whole different answers for you. So that's a really difficult question to answer for me, honestly.
Mm. Well, it's a good answer anyway. I mean, like, for me, it's yeah, I have to sort of measure it by memory or like by extreme fondness of this one, or how it sort of consumed me when I got it, right? It was, and it's that the oldest of the old, the Game and Watch, the Game and Watch systems from Nintendo back in, and this is like really old times. This is like 1980 or 1981, where I was when I first saw them, and I would actually. I grew up on an island outside of Gothenburg, so getting into the city would take me from my door to get into the city would be an hour and 15 minutes or something. And like as a kid growing up in a very it was this island is like obviously a very small population, and coming into to Gothenburg, which was a big city. It's always been Sweden's second biggest city, so it was an adventure to come into town. And I would gladly, if I could, get on the bus every day to ride into a small store that sold those Nintendo Game and Watch machines or gadgets, right? And you know, every one was a one-trick pony. Like every Game and Watch console had its own game. There was no way you could load games to it and so on. And it was magic, you know. It was just an LCD screen that would either turn off or turn on preset areas, like a digital clock, like a digital watch. Like it was either on or off, and it was completely magic. It was just completely awesome. Like to be in that shop time was standing still when I was trying out these games that were, by today's standard, laughable, right? Extremely simple games, but it was magical.
For me, I never got to experience like Game & Watches firsthand, because the first things I really experienced were on the NES. When I was 2.5, 3 years old with my dad. So it came almost immediately before my time. But the only way I got to play them when I was young, there was a Game & Watch Gallery series on Game Boy and Game Boy Advance.
Oh, okay.
Which, like 4 games of them, which included remakes with Mario characters of all those games, but also had the originals in them. So, and I still enjoyed those a lot. It was primitive, but I loved playing them because they were so simple.
Yeah.
So that's how I initially got to try them. And then Club Nintendo released actually a remake of the ball game exclusively for their store. So I spent all of my points on them to get one of those. And it's one of my most treasured possessions right now.
Cool. The thing,
but it is primitive, and it came just before my initial time with gaming, so it's really hard to access that stuff.
Well, the beauty of it was that it was a mobile gaming device, like before we had started considering that could exist. Like
right
at that time, you would either play games in arcade halls, or like maybe some rich neighbor kid had an Atari setup for the TV. It's imagine sitting on the bus playing these games, right? Before that, you would be sitting on the bus, daydreaming, right? Doing nothing, or I shouldn't say doing nothing, because daydreaming, I think, it's a pastime that has been devalued, and it's not good, right? I think daydreaming is it's very important to do that. But like before that was everything you could do. You could sit on the bus, and maybe someone had forgotten the paper and you could read it. and you weren't really interested in. That's not what you really wanted to do. When the Game & Watch came and I got my first one, I was playing it like every waking second when I wasn't doing anything else. So it was a.
Do you remember? Do you remember what your first Game & Watch actually was?
Yeah, it was. I think it was called Turtles, right? Or Turtle Beach. No, Turtles. Yeah, I'm just going to Google it. Just bear with the clicking here for a little second. Hang on. See if I can find it.
Now you're making me interested what it is.
Turtle Bridge. No, let's see. Yeah, Turtle Bridge. Yep, that's the one. It had a like a colored screen. I'll send you the link. This is obviously not going to translate into the podcast at all, but here. Just a second. I will just so you can see what it looked like. It was so it had like a painted screen with like it had the first Game & Watch games that came out didn't have any color on them. It was just like a gray screen.
Right.
But here they had like painted. The glass was painted. If you understand what I mean, the screen had.
Yeah.
So and it's one of those timing games, like a platform game, if you like, where you'd have to time your jumps, like going back and forth.
That's cute.
It was, for me, it was more than cute. It was life.
But I think it looks cute.
Yeah.
Huh. Nice.
And it's interesting. At that time, this is a Nintendo machine, but there was like another company called Gakken who had made games similar to that. I'll show you. Here's another link. I owned one Game & Watch game and one Gakken game called Trojan Horse. Those were by far my most precious possessions at that time. Those two things. All right.
Oh, the Gakken one looks strange. With there's a green. For people who can't see it, but it's a green middle with silver boarding on the outside. It looks really interesting.
Yeah, maybe you could just put it up on the, like put on a link or something like that. It was, and
yeah,
at that point, this is important too. It's like to people in Sweden, Nintendo meant nothing, and Gakken meant nothing. It was just. They happened to be the makers of these. Like, we had no clue who Nintendo was. Like, they were at that time. I think I may be wrong, but I don't think so. It's like Nintendo was only selling in Japan at the time. Like it.
Yeah.
So
I think even the NES was done by Mattel in Europe.
And it was made by, or it was sold by Bergsala in Scandinavia. They had like
they still do.
Yeah, they still do.
Yeah.
So yeah, now those two. Do you want to do the next question?
Sure, but I was just entranced by looking at Trojan Horse. It's a fabulous game.
I have to say it. I still have them at home. I would be very surprised if they were working, but that I would spend incredible. I got so much mileage out of those two games.
And there's also a really good video. The video series was Bit Museum. It's now defunct, by Jason Carrillo from previously RoboTube Games, now from Choice Provisions, which was previously Gaijin Games.
Right. Okay.
He did a video series on very classic video games, and he did an entire video on Game & Watch. He actually owns like the 50th, the final Game & Watch, the Disc-Kun packaged one with Super Mario Brothers.
Okay, all right.
Which is amazing. But I suggest people watch that video. It's kind of ranchy, but it's a lot of fun.
I'd like to watch that. You make sure to give me the link, all right? When you have it.
I will do. I'll do it definitely immediately after we're done.
Yeah,
it's such a fun video.
Cool.
I haven't watched it in 2 years now. Next question comes from JP. How much time do you spend not working? What do you do in your free time?
Good one. All right. Okay, for me, it's like, so I've got 3 kids of varying ages, right? So, like, my spare time, like in the evening when I get home, I make sure I make dinner for the kids, and then we all the homework that needs to be, if they want me to help them with homework, that takes quite a bit of time. Then at around 8:30 or so in the evening, it's time to put the little one, who is 6 years old now. I have to put her to sleep and read bedtime stories. And very often when she still sort of wants me to be around when she falls asleep. So very many days I just fall asleep too. and then I wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning and I'm done sleeping, right? So strangely, it's like I like to stay awake in the evenings, but when I fall asleep like that, I have a couple of wonderful hours just to myself in the morning, where I can catch up on stuff, and most often I'm actually working those more. So yeah, like I'm doing, and then I try to play as much chess as possible online if I get any spare time.
Right.
How about you?
So for me, it depends on the day, because it also depends on what Nintendo does.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of reliant on it right now. Currently, at the moment, after the Switch reveal, they've kind of gone dark, so I got more time for myself. I still, because I'm educated with financials, I still help a few businesses of families that I know. That's sort of on a freelance basis. That's the only solely work that I currently have to endure. But it's something that I still want to find like a really official job. But it's kind of difficult right now. But I decided that it's also working on videos and working on writing, and it goes kind of hand in hand with the things that I do at home. So it's also just playing games, figuring out what's fun or not. And then beyond that, if I'm not really interested in playing games, I sit down in a chair in my room. It's more of a relaxing chair, and I listen to music or watch a movie. And it's mostly listening to music and just trying to relax my head a little bit. And I'm listening to jazz, I listen to a little bit of soul, and then most of the time I just fall asleep for a few hours and then wake up again.
That's fantastic. I got to get a chair like that.
Yeah.
You got to tell me tell me the maker of that chair.
Yeah. I just try to relax in my head and not think about stuff all too much. And if not, I will. If I'm not falling asleep, I will just grab a 3DS or a Vita or iPad and just play a game or two. Because that's always what I do: play games. Or I will catch up on some news or do something else. But it's if I'm not doing anything at home, I'm currently just going to cities. I like traveling, so I just pick the train and go to somewhere. What else do I do? It's kind of depends on the day. I mean, I like to make every day a surprise, so if I feel like doing something, I will likely just do it. Except if I have actual work to do, then I just stay at home, which is boring for the most time of my week, because my office is basically just at home. So half of my week is just spending at my home.
I think
Um,
that's interesting. I like that you sort of just get on the train and go somewhere. That sounds
yeah,
like adventurous. I like that. That's very cool. I think
yeah,
I think a lot of people may think that what we do, since we work with games, is that we're constantly playing games. I think a lot of people at Image and Form are doing it. I mean, a lot of my colleagues are. It's like they, at any given moment, they have a game like they would have a book. Say, like, I'm reading this book right now. It's like I'm playing this game right now. Like,
right.
for me, it's like I'm thinking so much about games the whole time that for periods of time, I'm not playing any new game. It's
I've had those periods definitely, and then I'm become more of a movie guy, or watch a few series that I've never watched, because that becomes easier these days thanks to Netflix and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I just experience stuff or go somewhere for a day, and just take a lot more free time to discover new things that I've never seen before. And I might try something new, like maybe I will try musical now and again, because I never had that done for a while. Now that idea kind of popped into my head. But it's usually... So, for example, randomly 2 weeks ago, I thought let's go to Amsterdam. Let's see what that is like. I've never been in like a couple of years now. So I just decided, let's go a day to Amsterdam and see what that's all about. And I spent I went from home like at 8, came there at 10, and then from 10 to 10 I was just in Amsterdam, just walking around and doing stuff. And just seeing whatever happened. And that was mostly a good time. I had a boat tour through the canals.
Neat.
I walked through the historic area, went to a museum, went shopping a little bit, and then had dinner with a friend, and then it was almost time to go.
Yeah, neat. I was also. What series are you watching now? You were talking about Netflix. I'm watching this Westworld right now, on HBO. Have you heard of it?
I've not heard of it. No.
It's surprisingly, it's an HBO series about robots set in a Wild West setting. It's so you can sort of guess that I like it. It's very cool. It's like a very different take on what robots are. Check it out. I can recommend it.
Awesome. Well, the problem is that HBO will stop existing here in January, so...
What? Really?
Yeah.
In the Netherlands? Or...
Yep, they pulled the plug after 2 years.
Serious?
Yep.
Oh shit, now I'm all scared. I hope they don't do it in Sweden. It's like... that. I really like HBO. It's like... I think most of it's quality stuff. So
I think mostly HBO came back into my mind thanks to the show Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
Yeah, it's a great show. I think I like John Oliver. It's right.
And now I don't have a place to watch full episodes of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver soon anymore.
That's terrible. I mean, you have to move to Sweden now, Dan. This Netherlands bullshit is not going to cut it.
Currently, I'm not watching much on Netflix. I'm watching... So I have periods where I watch series, and I watch anime series, or I watch movies, and currently have a little anime streak of stuff that I have not watched.
Right.
And I am... usually curious about anime, but I don't usually watch like ranchy stuff or stuff that I personally don't think is really interesting. So I usually choose like to watch the weird stuff. Like I watched recently an anime that's all about volleyball.
Of course. All right.
Yeah, yeah. And then currently I'm watching an anime that's all about a Russian ice skating team.
Yeah, that's
And it sounds really like goofy, but it's super dramatic, like super dramatic.
really okay.
Yeah, and they are very expressional, and the animation is really good.
Hmm.
So I've been watching that a lot,
Mm.
and it is. They only started with 4 episodes now, but it's really hooking me for some reason. I want to know and see more of that.
Where is it produced?
So
Is
that's
it in Japan or is it?
it's all Japanese anime, yeah.
Mm. Okay, cool.
So I'm just really picking and choosing and first reading subscriptions and see what other people think before I really start watching it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff that is very fan servicey these days,
Mm.
and I'm not really a fan servicey guy. I understand why other people would like it, but I'm not that sort of guy.
Right.
So I usually look it over and see what it's all about before I start watching it.
Yeah.
And usually with that stuff I'm right on the money, and it is. And I'm not against watching anything weird or strange, but I'm watching fun stuff, that's for sure.
Mm.
And over a few weeks, if I'm kind of done with that, I will just go back and watch some regular series again, maybe some criminal-like or some drama,
Mm.
and I go back to the movies loop. So for me, it's finding what works, sticking with that for a while, and then moving on to what is next.
Yeah. I tend to just go with recommendations, and usually it's recommendations from coworkers here at Image and Form, because they're
Right.
so many of them are just on top of things, like what is happening right now in all these spaces, like how is this. It's actually quite great because it means that they sort of choose what I watch, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah,
I can sort of
yeah,
run
for
it
sure.
through their filter, and it's like if they say, if anyone says something is good here, I'm very likely to give it a shot. Like if because they will have an opinion on everything because they have watched it. All right, should we?
The weirdest,
Yeah.
the weirdest reason I watched a series is because the 3DS theme shop. In Japan, there is a lot more based on Japanese drama series or anime.
Mm.
So sometimes I see a random theme, I want to know, so what's that? And I just start watching the series randomly.
Well, obviously, I mean, you have first-hand information or access to all that stuff, right? And
Yeah.
I think you more than most other people, you can sort of contextualize all of that. I mean, you'll see what sticks out and what doesn't. Should we move
Sure.
on to the next one?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, we're kind of giving long answers on this stuff.
it's like but it's like coffee shop answers to everything, right?
Yeah, I think that's fun though.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
the thing is that I don't care if this becomes a podcast or not. I mean, like it's just a genuinely pleasant conversation with you. It's like, yeah, I very much prefer this format to sort of pre-written questions and so on. It's very cool.
Yeah. Sam Animated Critic asks, where had you had the best hot chocolate in your life?
Actually, okay, you can answer that first because I know for sure where I've had it.
I've had the best hot chocolate in my hometown here at a bakery that's also a little bistro.
Mm-hmm.
And they sell just all sorts of bread, just very sausage breads. They sell pancakes. They have a little ice cream bar. It's really nice, actually. It doesn't matter if you come there in the winter or the summer. They have always good stuff all year round.
Cool.
And they have this. They are part of a loyalty program where you get points for every euro spent. So currently I am 90 points away from 500, which allows me to get a high tea with my mother.
Okay, neat. So
Yeah.
my best hot chocolate is from. It was in a place in Vancouver. I was there. I was traveling around, and I got to Vancouver, and I found a place called Death by Chocolate. Do you know it? Have you heard it?
No, but it sounds fun. It sounds fun.
Everything was chocolate. Everything. I mean, like it was. It was a, sort of like a dessert place, but but like there was no dessert that didn't contain a shitload of chocolate, right? So, and obviously they could make a killer hot chocolate. So for me it was easy. It's like Death by Chocolate in Vancouver. Maybe they have other Death by Chocolates around the world, but that's my
that would
best
be
one.
Nice.
Death by I love the name. It's very good. So
it's such a good name.
All right.
Wow.
What's the next one? What do we have?
Okay. So this is from Lots on Nintendo. What are your ambitions? What do you plan on making reality? What are your plans for World Revolution?
It's a, please go ahead, Dan. What are your plans?
What are my ambitions? To likely keep doing this for another 10 years.
That sounds nice.
Yeah. What do you plan on making reality? Opening up more opportunities for myself, I guess. I mean, I'm likely trying to expand stuff with more variety in content. I mean, I've been mostly video-wise, I've been mostly doing like speechless videos, and I kind of wanted to change that. And there is stuff that I have in my head that I want to do, but I'm not sure how to make it a reality yet, so I'll have to figure out with other people how can I do that the best. Because I don't have a lot of experience in doing different stuff outside the stuff that I'm already doing. So I think it's time to, after, 10.5 years, to spread my wings and do different things. But still do it in the same ways that I'm used to. What are your plans for World Revolution? That's already happening in 2016. Look at all the news.
Well, that's good. I mean, I plan to keep up the good work. If you can sum it up, right? I mean, Image and Form has been around for 20 years or 19 years. It'll be 20 years next year. For the longest time, we were doing stuff for others. We weren't making our own content. We weren't making our own games, right? And for a long time, we did other stuff than making games. So I'm gonna make sure that we continue to make games and that we continue to make very good games, because I really think it's true that the day we make a bad game, we're not going to be interesting anymore. So yeah, we're going to continue making good games, because it's also about life. I mean, I don't want to become very old and realize that the stuff I did made no one especially happy, right? It's if you can sort of look back at it and say this was good for people, like people enjoyed this, and if we hadn't made it, it wouldn't have been around. I think that's
right.
What was the follow up there? What's your plans for?
What do you do to do you plan on making reality?
Okay. So one thing we have to do at Image and Form is we have to come up with ways to sell more games. It's because we need that leeway. We can't, to be able to do very good things. We have to make more money consistently. Let's put it that way. It's like,
yeah,
it's great that we can sort of keep up the good work, but we're sort of constantly, before we hire a new person, we really have to think about it every time. Like, who is the next person? Like, who will bring something that will have such an impact on what we do that we hire that guy before this other person. Do you understand how I mean?
Yeah, sure.
So it's very much that. It's for us to figure out how can we sell more copies of our games. It's very simple.
Yeah.
So that's it. And the world revolution, I think.
Yeah.
The world is actually revolutionizing itself every day. It's like, I think...
Particularly in 2016, but not always in a good way.
Yeah, not always in a good way. But like in very many bad ways, there are revolutions. But like in a lot of great ways, there are revolutions too. I mean, like new technology is changing everything faster and faster and faster. And hopefully that development is faster than the bad developments going around the world, right? I think, like, hopefully soon enough we'll be in a place where technology is so strong that there won't be a need for conflict anymore, or like big scale conflict. It won't be necessary.
Mm-hmm. I think the true plan of World Revolution is Apple removing the headphone jack.
Well, that's actually, I mean, it's cause for a revolution, right? I mean, it's here you have like there like not everything is standardized in the world, but the headphone jack is really a standard thing on all your appliances, right? And here comes Apple and just removes it.
Except for the Game Boy Advance's speed. They didn't do that either.
Well, okay. Well, it's like, those were the days, right? But Apple is doing it now. Yeah. I mean, it's like, sometimes I think it's Apple's world, and they're kind to let us live in their world, right? It's when you decide to take that away, it's so strange. I mean, how many people have gone out and bought really, really good headphones that they intended to use?
I have really good headphones. I have a Brjann Olufsen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and you can't use it.
And those, no.
Right. It's strange.
I currently have an iPhone, and I'm unsure if I want an iPhone 7 at all.
Yeah. It's the same for me. I was saying just earlier here that my kids want an iPhone 7. And that is one of the reasons why I'm thinking of not getting them an iPhone 7, because at some point they also got decent headphones. And what are we going to do with that? It's like, when are they going to use those? Yeah, sorry, it's like old people's thinking, but like I think it's sort of like
I feel the same. I mean, I purchased a really expensive pair of headphones, roughly I think €300, and I couldn't have it any other way without them because they're so comfy. And thinking about putting additional wires and dongles in my pocket is not something that I really want to do.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Well, maybe it is that easy though, but it still feels like a rip-off in some respect, I think. I mean, like if you're going to use your €300 headphones with an iPhone 7, you'll have to buy one of those adapters then, I guess, because I doubt that it comes with a phone, right? One of those.
Well, it comes with the wired adapter from Lightning to wired, but if you want to recharge and listen at the same time, then you have to buy a separate adapter.
I wonder if Apple is thinking that they're going to sell a few of those to us. All right.
Yeah. Well, they're mostly thinking that they can sell us $300 wireless earbuds.
Yeah. Well, it's at the same time, I think, what a great invention what a great thought it is, because like these days I'm almost wireless the whole time. Let's put it that way. I work on a laptop that I very much prefer to just sit on a couch with my feet up on a table and type away when I email or do whatever. I don't hook it up to like external screens and so on. So I have no wires that way. And I in my car I listen on my iPhone via Bluetooth, like to the car stereo system, and I think that is genius. Like there are no cables, so
Yeah.
it on like an important level. I think that these Bluetooth ear what do you call them, earbuds? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, Airbus. Yeah. Yeah.
Really, earbuds? Like butts in your
Yeah.
ear?
Yeah. Yeah. For finishing here, yeah.
Cool. So I like the idea of it. I think it's cool. But at the
Yeah.
same time, yeah,
Yeah. I think that if you are willing to pay for an 1100 euro dollar, what is a device, then it should have everything that you want.
yeah, that's more or less it. It's like it's a huge investment to get a new phone, and yeah, throw in that little adapter, please.
Yep.
Okay, brother, what's next?
Let's see if there's anything else, because mostly they are still talking about, like, there are a few questions left, but they're mostly talking about SteamWorld or the games. But one of them that was really fun, from Mr. Nintendo, which is also a fun name.
Yeah, that's fun.
Is there any one character you consider to be the mascot of the series, and if so, why?
Yeah, well, it's obviously Rusty from SteamWorld Dig is the mascot, and you can sort of tell. Like a lot of people are sort of they want us to tell more stories about him. So like regardless of what we think in the office, I think that's the official view. Rusty,
Right.
Rusty is the Donald Duck of SteamWorld, and
I think that Piper is also
yeah,
really good, but
but
yeah.
but in my mind, I mean, I like Seabrass, like another character from SteamWorld Heist, who is a grumpy old guy. That maybe that's what I like.
Yes. Actually, Seabrass was one of the icons on the eShop, I think, very recently.
Yeah, I think so. We put him in. Yeah, because he is actually our official hat model. This sounds very strange, right? But like we use Seabrass's head. Like if a hat fits on his head, it'll fit on every other character's head as well. So he is sort of like the. For some reason, he is like extreme. Like it needs to fit his head. If it does, it's going to work on every character. So he got a little bit of extra limelight there. But I like him because he's your typical sidekick in a game, like this.
I feel he's the unsung hero of that game. I feel sometimes really ignored.
Seabrass, right? Well, he is. Yeah, in a sense he is, because he's there from the very start, and he's largely ignored. Like he never gets to decide anything. Like it's the pilot who is screwed into the ship, Wonky and Piper. They make all the decisions, and literally over his head too, because he's always standing on a lower level when Wonky and Piper are talking about stuff.
I mean, I played for that game twice now on 2 different systems. And yeah, Seabrass is likely my favorite character in that game.
Yeah, I like Billy too, Billy Gill. Actually, this is dumb, because now I'm going to start ticking off all of them, right? But I'm fond of almost all of them, like really fond of them. But like another one is Billy Gill. I like him. He's so unlikely. He is a fish. Why would you design a robot to look like a fish? The pun is that he is a deep space diver. So he's not a deep sea diver. He's a deep space diver. That's what he used to do. Like that was his profession. So only because of that, he is shaped like a fish. And I think the humor is just so dumb, right? It is hilarious. So, and the fact that he is the only one who, yeah, a little bit of a secret here. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, Dan, but like he can't speak, right? He, like, everything he says is blub. But
Yeah.
But if you've noticed in the game, then he is actually the only character that consistently says words when he speaks. Have you noticed?
Huh. Slightly.
Yeah, you're right. You're just making that up. You haven't noticed. You should go back into the game.
No, slightly.
Okay.
I mean, I noticed the consistency, but I didn't know if it were words or not.
Yeah, it's actually the only character in a SteamWorld game that speaks words. So go back and check it out.
Huh. I will likely do it with my Wii U playthrough, that's for sure.
Right.
And I think, you know what? It has been roughly 2 hours. I think we're gonna wrap this up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. My laptop is dying now, actually. The battery is spent.
But it's, maybe we'll do this again sometime in the future. But I will say this is one of the more fun conversations I had that we recorded.
Well, same here, Dan. It's always a pleasure talking to you, but this was really the way to do it. It's a very loose agenda for it, and I really like that. Very cool.
I think I should do that with more people also in the future, because this is too fun. This is way too fun.
Yeah.
I want to thank all of you for sending questions. I think you did a good job. You can obviously do better next time, but there will likely be a next time because, again, this was too much fun, really.
And I was going to say, if you're still listening to this, like after 2 hours, or if you fast forward till the end, it's like amazing that you've managed to make it this far. And like, I have to contradict you there a little bit, Dan, because if people send in more questions, how are we going to cope with it? Like, every question takes like 30 minutes to answer. So,
I mean, they can send in a few, and we can make our answer snappier. That's always possible.
That's impossible.
you want to bet? You want to bet?
Okay, we can be snappier next time. All right, thank you everyone very much.
But I will definitely try to make this. Like, there's an option to make like podcast chapter based, and I will try to make the answers more chapter based. And see if I can tinker around with that.
That's cool.
But it's I'll make art for every single part of for every single question, so that's gonna take a little while. The good thing is this is more of a vacuum, so it doesn't really matter if it releases tomorrow or over a week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same thing goes for podcasts, right? It's like a delayed podcast is eventually good. Right? A rushed podcast is bad forever.
No, a rushed podcast, you can hear the audio of somebody else in the background.
Okay. Or that. All right. Thank you so much, Dan.
That's true. No, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure.
All right. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.
Before we go, you need to plug your stuff. That's podcast rule. It's the rule of the podcast industry. If you are in a podcast and you are a guest, then you need to plug your stuff.
Wonderful. All right. So this is what you, dear listener, have to do. Like, if you haven't bought SteamWorld Dig or SteamWorld Heist or SteamWorld Collection or SteamWorld Tower Defense or Antil, then you have to go and get it now. If you only own like one or two of those products, it's not nearly enough for you. So our latest game is called SteamWorld Heist. It's now out for Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo Wii U, PS4, PS Vita, and obviously PC, Mac, and Linux. And now it's also coming to iOS. It is the best game that you haven't yet played. And take my word for it. It's a really, really fun game. You might not think it's for you, but it was actually designed with you in mind. So go get it.
It's a really fun game. You can also follow Image and what's the Twitter again? Imageform?
Yeah.
At Imageform?
Yeah.
Imageform. Look at their games on the eShop. You can look them up by publisher on Wii U and 3DS. So if you're on 3DS, you will find all 3 SteamWorld games that way. And on Wii U, you will find Dig and Heist that way.
Wonderful.
So that's really quick to do. And or else, just look up the publisher on Steam. I don't know because I know it's on the Mac App Store as well. I don't know if Mac App Store has that function, but you can just look them up by title and you will likely find them there.
I'm not sure about that. Yeah. But just search for SteamWorld and buy anything that is called SteamWorld. That's a good rule of thumb.
That's a good rule of thumb. Yeah, I mean, there's not a bad game so far, and it will likely not ever happen. So go right now to whatever platform you own.
All right.
One question. I don't know. You're not on Xbox One, right? With Heist.
That's correct. Yeah. It's we're still we're doing so many different things, like
right,
and porting to the Xbox One is not as simple as you might think.
Okay, that makes sense. I just was wondering because, again, Xbox One is one of those platforms that I play a lot, so it's another reason for me to own another copy of that game.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dan. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I wish you all a good night. Thank you for listening and see you soon. Bye-bye.